Well, after many months here, the last little while of rethinking things, reevaluating things, reflecting on the past few years, I realized that my old life was a bit toxic, a bit of a never-ending bitter cycle that could have only ended one of very few ways. We all are taught at a young age that to pursue the whole get an education, get a job, get a house with a white picket fence, start a family, get a good education, all that. But nobody ever tells us to do what makes us happy, even if what makes us happy is not what the status quo says is normal. I stayed in my toxic old life at jobs for far too long just because I was told never to be a quitter. Putting in, long hours, long daily hours, long work weeks, work months, working hard for people that didn't appreciate your talents just because I was told this is what you are supposed to do to be a valuable or valued member of society. I allowed people in my life to take advantage of me just because I was kind and forgiving. I would assume debt. I would co-sign and buy vehicles for people that were part of my life. I would forgive their essentially betrayals just because I wanted them to be part of my life again once they left and had their freedom and then come back. I was preoccupied, especially in the latter years, by the pain and discomfort that was caused from my workplace injury. So a lot of those things in my life that were important did not get dealt with properly. Bills were not met the way they should have been met. Issues, as in maintenance issues on the house, could not get dealt with as quick as they needed to get dealt with. Toxic people in my life were allowed to stay in my life for far too long just because I had so much other things on my mind that I could not take on more conflict or more, what do you want to call it, than what I already had. I worked many years, just like many of us have, to pay for things, thinking that working hard, thinking that making money was it. Making money, having a house, having vehicles was the measure of success in one's life. However, being successful in one's life cannot be measured in monetary gain. Being successful in one's life is still living your life as best you can and still being happy regardless of where you're at, what you have, who you're with, having stuff, having nothing, having a job, having nothing, having no job, having no family, having no spouse, no kids, still being happy, nothing left, losing everything and not losing your life. It still, has taught me, anyways, has taught me a valuable lesson. Experience is the best teacher. You can sit there in a classroom setting and read textbooks, read theories, listen to lectures from other people of their experiences or what they think you should know or they think that you should learn. Textbook learning only gets you so far until you find yourself out in the real world and you realize that some of that theory from the textbooks don't apply to your situation, and then you're forced to relearn, reevaluate, and well, kind of go from there. The things that I have learned in the last few years have been an expensive lesson, a very expensive lesson. And if I was able to ever do things over again, of course they would be done different, because hopefully I have learned from my first time around not to do it the same way the second time around. However, unfortunately, we only have one shot at life, one go around, and well, what we make of it is pretty much all we have in life in the end. Whether we succeed or we fail at things, it is what it is. It doesn't make us any less of a person to not have the possessions or the stuff that we once had. If anything, living a simpler, a little bit of a freer life frees us up to live a much better life than what we once lived. Once again, speaking from my own experiences. Making changes is something that only you yourself can change. Other people in your life can force change upon you, whether it's a removal from a situation, whether it's throwing you in jail or throwing you in detox, or you know, removing themselves from your life because they can no longer handle your downward destructive spiral that you're in. However, the willingness to change has to come from yourself. If you're not willing to change, then no matter what happens in your life, the lessons that are put in front of you, the hurdles that you face, will never ever amount to anything to teach you anything, because you are not willing to learn from the situations. Like I've mentioned before in this here video and other videos, I've learned things in the last few years. Sure, I could say in 2009 or 2010 I should have sold the house. Sure, in 2014 I should have sold the house after my workplace injury, because obviously I wasn't going to be back to pre-accident conditions. However, I believed the promises of the WCB system, the lies that they told me to get me to sign on to their system. If I wouldn't have signed on to their system, wouldn't have believed their lies, wouldn't have spent years in their system bouncing back and forth at random physio appointments and random doctor's visits in the city every few months, and wasted time there, and either would have pulled the plug and sold the house, or just, you know, walked away from the system and got my job in a different profession somewhere else, rather than waiting for them to finally clear me or give up on me, rather than fulfill their needs, and or rather than fulfill their obligations like they had promised to have done. It is lessons that we have all learned, lessons that I have learned. It is what it is, and around we go. Well, just some thoughts that I've had floating around my head that I thought that I would share with you. It is what it is, and as always, thanks for watching Maxwell's Vlogs. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.